recently I came in possession of the Sega Saturn Arcade Racer, which was an early peripheral released around the beginning of the Saturn's life that allowed for analog control in racing games such as Sega Rally and Daytona USA. What I'm going to do today is play through all the racing games that I have and test it out on the Arcade Racer to see how they work. But before we get to that, let's take a look at the wheel itself. To start off, the wheel isn't really shaped like any other steering wheel I've ever seen. It has more of an M shape to it. But it works out fairly well. You just grip the two sides right here and you have full access to all the buttons and the L and R triggers, which are doubled as the paddle shifters right here. And it also works as the up and down when going through menus within the games. Steering with it is actually really smooth. You have a little recentering right here, but it works out fairly well. And you also have a locking knob back here, so when you unlock it, you can actually change the angle of the wheel. So that's really nice to have. And the wheel's also fairly heavy for what it is, and it's not really going to go anywhere if you move it, but that's also helped out by the suction cups underneath the wheel, so you can just plop it down on a table, and you're good to go. It's not going to go anywhere if you violently shake the wheel at all. So that's the wheel itself. Let's go try out some games.
First up is the tried and true classic Daytona USA. The game was already fun with just a D-pad, but the wheel brings a true arcade racing experience back to the game. The controls are just as smooth as they were with the default controller, and executing drifts have never been more fun and satisfying. Highly recommended. At first I was a bit off-put from how the game controlled with the wheel, given the slippery nature of the cars and the fact that I'm just more used to this game with the D-pad. But after a few minutes, I was plowing through corners and drifting with ease. Sega Touring Car already has a number of problems, and not a single one is alleviated with the use of the wheel. No matter what control you use, the cars just handle like crap. While the wheel does give you a hint of precision, the game is still far from playable. At least play this game for the awesome soundtrack. Virtua Racing has a number of different vehicles that all handle differently. I really found a sweet spot while using the Porsche though, not to say that the other cars handled poorly. Control was responsive and fast, which really comes in handy for the later courses in the game. This game already holds the distinction in my mind as being one of the most underrated racing games on the Saturn. Tight controls, nice graphics, and fun gameplay make F1 Challenge a fantastic F1 sim. The wheel only makes the game even better, offering much more precision. Seriously, one of the best racers on the Saturn, and it's dirt cheap. Pick this one up even without the wheel. Need for Speed is a racing classic, no matter what you play it on. But the wheel really doesn't offer this game any favors. Steering felt sluggish and imprecise no matter what car I used. I would just stick with the D-pad for this one. This game already felt sluggish with the D-pad, and using a wheel does not help this game in the slightest. Your car just doesn't react fast enough to the other cars that just pop out of nowhere. If you want to know more about Gale Racer, and why you should pass on it, check out my review for it. I mentioned in my review for Megs that the 3D controller offered the much needed precision that this game needed. Unfortunately, that didn't translate well to the wheel. The game seems to give you too much precision, forcing you to turn the wheel all the way to the left and right if you want to make any kind of turns at all. Although I thought it was pretty cool to give you the full control over your leaning, it doesn't add anything to the game. It makes it much more difficult to play. Hang On GP feels like a game that was designed specifically for this wheel, because it's virtually unplayable with the D-pad. This is without a doubt one of the best controlling games for the wheel, alongside F1 Challenge. Just please don't buy it without the wheel. You'll thank me later. Finally, we have Daytona CCE. I already had mixed feelings toward this game for a few reasons, mainly in its controls and presentation. Thanks to the wheel though, I may have rekindled my interest in Daytona CCE. The game now controls like it should, like a Daytona game. I'll definitely go more in depth on this game in the future. In closing, the Arcade Racer provides a new experience for the vast Saturn racing catalog. Sometimes the outcome is fantastic, other times not so much, but it's still a great peripheral and I highly recommend it.